Okay, so AI has passed Wall Street's toughest exam is the headline announcing results from a new NYU Stern study. Sean, there's there's been so much hype surrounding AI, but this new NYU Stern study, you're calling it a turning point. So what makes this so significant?
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Well, for one thing, you know, as far as AI hype goes, there people tend to want to fall back and say, "Oh yeah, AI, it's hype, 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 overhyped, so on and so forth." And of course, I've been saying for the last 2 years now that that's not the case; that it's not overhyped at all. And one of the things we've been seeing is uh, is that these AI models are getting smarter all the time. And so this particular study wasn't about seeing if AI could write blog posts or summarize a PDF. It was about having AI models take the level 3 CFA exam, Certified Financial Analyst. Advisors study for years to pass this exam and get the designation. And the level 3 involves essay questions that measure synthesis and judgment. So this is like the hardest finance test on earth. And the results were pretty astounding. ChatGPT scored 79. Gemini from Google scored almost 76%. The passing rate is 63%. So, and like I said, these are a mixture of essay questions and some multiple choice. And this isn't about an AI model that simply learned to memorize the answers to the test. It actually reasoned like a professional analyst. And that's the big thing.
Okay, so does this mean that, AI truly understands finance?
Well, not the way humans do, but it performs at a level that matters, right? It passed this same reasoning test that, thousands of CFAs have trained years to accomplish themselves. And so what that means is that AI can now assist advisors in areas we really never thought possible: investment research, planning, due diligence, strategy, and frankly, a vast array of other topics that fall below those or on either side of it. And, this is what we have been seeing quite a lot of, especially in the last 6 months or a year. Earlier this summer, we were talking about um, a test that was run by a Claremont College uh, economics professor back in the January of 2023, just a couple months after ChatGPT came out. And he tested ChatGPT at that point in time on 11 personal finance prompts. And it gave really excellent, fluent answers that were all totally wrong. Okay. And I only saw that study just this last June. And so over the summer, when I saw how strong these reasoning models had become over the last year, we did some of our own tests and replicated that Claremont College professor's study on personal finance. And guess what? These reasoning models got all 11 questions right. So this is just further confirmation. Now we've moved from financial planning over to, financial, insights on investment and analysis around investments. And so it's an adjacent field, right? But one that's much, much more complicated. And uh, it's the really significant proof that reasoning has arrived with AI, and these reasoning models make them, as we'll talk a little bit more, just much more useful for any financial advisor. Period.
So what, maybe you can unpack for us, what's changed with these models to get here, for them to get here?
Right. So, the original ChatGPT 3, 3.5, some of the early models of 4 were not specifically trained to reason through its answers. You would give it a prompt, and it would just go into using its probability word guessing probability powers that are super super sophisticated, so sophisticated that saying it's super sophisticated isn't saying isn't really giving it its full due. Okay, but still nonetheless those were a particular type of way that these large language models generated answers. Okay, now for about the last year we've had these new reasoning versions, starting with ChatGPT o1 mini, that are able to think before they answer. That's the difference. The earlier models just went right into answering. These reasoning models, you prompt them and they step back and they think before they answer. They're able to think about their own thinking. Okay. And that is, what's really powerful here. So when the researchers told AI to show your steps, um, uh, when testing it out on prompts, the scores were actually almost 20% higher. So even these non-reasoning models can get pretty close on the CFA test. But then when the reasoning models came in, they just absolutely, they absolutely crushed it. And of course, that's what a great analyst is going to do. They want to think through a problem, right? Yeah, you could go to, Wall Street's best investment analysts and present them a problem, and they're not going to spit out the answer, right away. They're going to think it through. And so what we have here is that it's really not about speed anymore. It's about depth. So when those, early days of ChatGPT, uh, not only were people blown away by how fluent the AI model's responses were, but by how quickly they came out. Now, it's not really about that at all. It's about the AI model stepping back and thinking about how it's going to answer it, and ultimately even creating plans on how it's going to go about it. We'll talk more about that in a bit. But it's this depth of thinking through and reasoning a problem that is so significant and so meaningful to advisors, as we here at Horse's Mouth are, trying to create an on-ramp for the many advisors who still aren't using AI on a daily basis. And so this is yet more proof that we need to be thinking along those lines.
Okay, well, speaking about how advisors can use this emergent reasoning power of AI, could you give us an example maybe of how advisors might, use this in their day-to-day life?
Yeah, sure. I'll lay out a couple of introductory prompts, and then we can go into some deeper ones, so people can get a sense, right? So, um, we talk about when we're prompting the AI models, we talk about invoking the role. What is the expertise that we're calling the AI to summon in completing the task that we're about to give it? So we give it a role, then we give it a task, right? Um, and then we give it context. And then we may ask it to ask us questions. We may offer some examples of the things we want it to think about. And this is all part of like the framework that we use in our AI-powered financial advisor program: role, task, format, context, questions, and examples. So you would want to be thinking along those lines. So for instance, if you were going to um, start to collaborate with an AI model about your own investment thinking, you might start off a prompt that says, act as a CFA analyst with 20 years experience, right? Walk me through the macro trends, currency risks, and sector exposure step by step before drawing conclusions. Now, uh, I didn't give it um, any specific context right now, but you would additionally be offering the context, because you're saying here the macro trends of what, the currency risk of what, the sector exposures relating to what. So, it would be whatever topic you, the advisor, was researching on, right? And when you do that, the AI model isn't going to just start spitting out numbers. It's going to step back and it's going to draft a full first step. It's going to draft a reasoning chain. It's going to say to you, okay, here are 5 macro indicators that I'm going to look at. All right. Here are 3 risk factors I'm going to evaluate. And here is, sensitivity of sensitivity analysis relating to the prices in this energy prices, for instance, in this one particular prompt I was working on. So that is, that's professional level analysis that's completely on demand to, you, the advisor. So that's one way to get going. And one of the things that we uh, when you're working with these CFA level reasoning models, right, is that uh, you can also give it kind of explicit instructions about the types of reasoning models that it should pursue. And let me just go over here. I'm not sharing it, Doug, because
Okay.
I lost track of exactly where I was. Um, but yeah, so the you can in your prompt uh, kind of supercharging the AI to consider certain reasoning modules to incorporate into its thinking. So you can say specifically it should engage in critical thinking, or you could say engage in critical thinking and show me step by step. Or you can say this task is going to involve reflective thinking. Other examples of these, what are referred to as atomic reasoning models, are creative thinking, breaking something down into sub problems, or kind of propose and verify um, thinking, solving approach. Another one would be to use analogies, or another might be to look at causal analytics, or even go ahead and devise a particular type of algorithm. So those are some of the ways that an advisor could learn to easily supercharge his prompt to get the sort of deeper level analysis. But some others might be like, okay, you're always going to invoke the act as a CFA analyst with 20 years experience, right? But then you might say something like, evaluate a, in this case, you would be more specific because you would know specifically which global equity portfolio you're referring to in this prompt. But you might say, evaluate this global equity portfolio's risk return characteristics and identify key macroeconomic drivers before summarizing your conclusion, right? Or you might say in another prompt, you're a CFA level analyst. Compare the investment case for US infrastructure ETFs versus emerging market infrastructure ETFs, highlighting currency risk and political risk. Now, that's a pretty good one, right? Because maybe you think um, infrastructure is a key safe place you want to put your clients. You have opportunities with ETFs that are all US based versus ones that are emerging markets that may or may not um, present the possibilities of higher returns, but you also have issues like currency conversion, right? And internal political risks as well, which is always a key thing for people to be thinking about. Now, some other prompts that are even deeper might be something like, again, for a complex financial analysis, you might say something like, before analyzing this investment scenario, first identify and list 3 to 5 most recent relevant reasoning frameworks. Those are the things that I just mentioned before, the atomic frameworks, such as risk return analysis, market timing, portfolio theory principles, that would be useful for this specific situation. Uh, then explain why each framework is relevant, and then finally apply them systematically to reach your recommendations. So there, again, remember, I'm giving you some robust language for the heart of the prompt, but we always in our prompting are giving the AI models context, right? The kind of who, what, when, where, why, what's going on. So I'm giving you the nuts and bolts of these CFA level prompts, but in kicking off a deeper conversation with the AI, you would, you have to give it that context. What particular investment portfolios or strategies or investment vehicles that you're looking at, right? So another approach would be uh, analyzing situations that you may have with particular clients. Financial situation, right? And again, we're not talking about sharing personal identifiable information, but we are giving the AI model the context. So you talk about client X, right? And then client X's financial situation. And then you can say, first determine what types of analytical modules you'll need to analyze this. And those analytical modules could be like a cash flow analysis, a tax optimization, some behavioral finance consideration, or issues around risk tolerance assessment, right? And then you say to the AI model, explain your reasoning for selecting each of those modules, then create an analysis plan before providing advice. And notice it said create the plan, because that's what's going on with these reasoning models that makes them so powerful compared to the earlier types of non-reasoning models like ChatGPT 4.0. These models will, once you give them the prompt, they'll step back and they'll think about what you're asking, and they'll print to the screen what they're going to do. And oftentimes they'll even print to the screen a plan of, they'll say, okay, I've thought it through, and here's how I'm going to go about answering your prompt. And it will lay out all the specific things it's going to do. And then you, the advisor, have the opportunity to examine what it's doing, and you can direct it to not do this or add something else, or you can say, okay, go ahead. That's great, right? And then in one other one I'll share, and then we can go on, is sort of reflective, something called reflective problem solving. And this would be something like, analyze analyze this financial problem by one, identifying what makes it complex or ambiguous. Two, determine what mix of quantitative and qualitative judgment and relationship factors are needed to get a good answer here, and then design your own step-by-step approach and execute that approach while noting any assumptions that you're making, right? So we're saying to the AI model, as you give us the answer, and you are reasoning through your answer and making some assumptions, right? Tell us in your report back to us exactly what those assumptions are. Okay. So you can see here, Doug, what's going on is with these prompts, you're really starting to tap AI as a co-intelligence, right? Some people might say, oh, it's acting as a junior analyst for you. And frankly, I think when people get into it, they're going to recognize it's not acting as a junior analyst, it's acting as a virtual analyst. Okay. Nothing junior about it at all. So anyway, those are some prompts that I think uh, are good examples of what's going on here and why this study out of NYU is so important.
Yeah, there's so much power available using these tools, but there's also a danger on relying too much on them, would you say?
Yes, of course, there is. And that is a critical thing that we're always emphasizing in our program. You are still the human in the loop. And anything that you do and create with these AI models, um, you're responsible for it. You can't blame the AI model. So you need to double check and triple check, make sure that you're comfortable with with what's going on here and what you're learning and what the AI model is creating for you. It is collaborative, but you're the owner. Okay. And so, we want to be sure that no advisor is thinking that the AI is thinking totally for them. Okay. The AI is collaborating with you. You're still the filter. You're there to push back, challenge, accept, expand, whatever the case may be. Um, and so, it's important that advisors are not an order taker of the algorithm. You are still the one in control, guiding it, telling it where to go, what to do, and taking on advisement the things that it is offering you. And so the best advisors, will will be the ones that sharpen their thinking, and bringing their human judgment and their ethics and their empathy along with all the things that AI can do. And together, that is a much stronger approach. We're not just jobbing it out to AI and then putting it out into the world. That would be what is referred to sometimes as AI slop. Okay, no slop. You're the filter here. Okay, you're collaborating with AI.
Okay. And as we always try to do, we like to give advisors who may be just starting out an on-ramp to experiencing what's possible. So, Sean, how should an advisor, start using AI in the way you've been talking about today?
Yeah, well, I offered some of those prompts before, but even just stepping back at an even higher level is, you can just tee up some conversations with the AI. Remember, I often talk about our AI usage ladder, and at the lower rungs are very sort of uh, transactional things like something that's very repetitive, or maybe some quick response to an email, or you need some help or assistance with something you're writing. It's all at the lower level. The middle level gets into some deeper things like maybe writing reports, creating a marketing campaign, being creative in that respect. And at the very top is the kind of strategic thinking. So this is where we're at with these CFA level prompts and this NYU study. All this is at that higher level of the ladder. Okay, and so some of the things you might want to do would be to run a side by side analysis comparing your investment reasoning on a particular approach that you're taking with your clients in a particular sector, right? With certain goals. You would explain to AI, this is what you're recommending for your clients, and this is why you think it is um, a strong approach. And then you could ask the AI to go about and conduct its own reasoning and critique your analysis, right? Um, Another approach could be using those reasoning prompts that we mentioned before and asking your AI to, to do, sort of step-by-step analysis of any particular investment challenge you're looking at, right? Another one would be to leverage deep research. This is a very good spot for advisors to get involved because deep research is a mode that you can put ChatGPT into, and all the other models have a deep research mode as well. This is where you give the AI a prompt to go off and do something, and it just doesn't come back in 30 seconds or 5 minutes. It can go off and work on something for 20 minutes or 2 hours before it comes back with its answers, where it may have gone out and looked at 50, 100, 200 different sources, right? And it's the reasoning models are pulling in all this relevant information based on what you have, how you have guided it in your deep research prompt, and it's coming back and then it's synthesizing that information and pulling it together in a way that is, hugely helpful for you. Okay. So that is, those are some approaches, right? You could also, train your team on some of these skills as well. That, of course, we think is real important. That in general, to get down this path, uh, if you if you're among those advisors who are using AI weekly, every now and then, you're not a power user, you really haven't brought it in to your daily usage. Well, that is where, this sort of thing is kind of at the very top of usage, and we want to uh, give you an on-ramp to be able to be effective in using AI through all different aspects of your workflow. That AI ladder that I talk about, power users go up and down the ladder all day long, right? They're not spending all day running CFA level investment analysis prompts, and they're not spending all day um, diddling around at the lower level with sort of quick transactional stuff. They're moving up and down as their day moves on, and they're confronted with various challenges and things to do on their to-do list. So that's why the training is important, both for advisors and for their teams. So, I mean, those are some ways, Doug, that people can start to get involved more with AI and to start to take advantage of the power of these reasoning models.
Yeah, and I think, as wild as it is to think about how far these tools have come, I know you said that this is really just the beginning? Did you want to talk a little bit about what you see
Yeah,
coming next?
yeah, it is just the beginning. If some people follow this AI space somewhat closely over the last 6 months, there's been a lot of talk about agents and multi-agents, right? So when we send deep research off to do a study, and by the way, a deep research, you could use a CFA level prompt at the deep research level, and it could go off and work on something for 20 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, right? Those are semi-independent or semi-autonomous AI agents that we're starting to use. And this whole thing around having specifically trained AI agents for various aspects of your business as an advisor, that's definitely going to be coming on um, quite a lot in the next 6 months for sure. And so, just as a hint of what's down the road, uh, your future skill set, your future AI skill set will include learning how to manage a team of AI agents that you have access to that are going to do, various things to help you deliver, better service, better quality advice for your clients, better service for them, and uh, it's going to be it's going to be a fascinating time, but I think this is what's coming next for sure.
Yeah, and so now really is the time to get in and learn this stuff if you haven't already. I mean, that can't be
Yeah,
stressed enough.
no, yeah, definitely is true, Doug. And I think there's kind of like from today's live stream, I'd say there's like three takeaways here, right? One is AI's reasoning power just hit a new level, right? And it's time for advisors, to boost their own analytical IQ by pulling in these reasoning models to your investment analysis and research, right? Number two, use AI with you, not for you. We're not just giving all this stuff over to the AI agent and then handing it over to clients, right? We are acting as a filter, not just a filter, but a collaborator. We're absorbing the analysis that's done by the AI agent. And then after we have metabolized, bringing on this information into our own analysis, then that's what you present to the client. You are still the human in the loop, right? And then the other key point, I think, is that, you know, um, lots of advisors still need training, right? We only have around 25% of advisors right now who are what I would call power users, using AI all day long, going up and down that AI usage ladder. But the rest don't. So we've got 75% of advisors, we got 20% or more who aren't using it at all, and we've got 55 or 50% who are just dabbling in it, right? And if you're just dabbling in it, you're really not leveraging it in any significant way. And so, for that group of people, the dabblers and the non-users, it's time to get on board. It takes about 8 hours. This is what the University of Pennsylvania Wharton School professor Ethan Mollick says. It takes really about 8 hours of structured engagement with AI models for an advisor or any typical knowledge worker to get over the hump and then see and experience and understand how to use these models. And so that's why we have that's why we're always promoting our own AI training programs for advisors, because it's table stakes going forward now for sure.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about the next upcoming works, the AI powered financial advisor program, go to horsesmouth.com/AI. Links on the screen and in the description here. Okay,
Yeah,
Sean,
we have another class
yeah,
starting. Our last one for this year starts sometime in late around November
November
19th,
November
19th
20th,
or
I think it is.
November
I think it's
20th.
November
Yeah.
20th. Yep.
Okay. So it goes for 4 weeks. It's 2 hours a week for 4 weeks. And it'll be a great opportunity for people to get it in under their belt before the new year starts. So you can go into 2026 kind of supercharged with AI power. And trust me, it's really going to be helpful and will help you have greater results in 2026 for yourself, your clients, and your team. So give that a thought, and hope to see you in our classes soon.
All right, great. Well, that's gonna do it for today. So thanks everybody for your time and attention, and we'll